So almost a full year ago, I started this channel. I didn't start soaping a year ago. I've been doing that forever. But I started the channel almost a full year ago, and I was wearing this shirt, and I was standing in my bathtub, and the audio was bad, and I rambled on a whole lot, and I cried, and I was big concerned. The very first face video that I did, the very first editing of a video that I did, like in total, it took me like 5 hours for one like little 20-minute video to do it. That's not even to make the soap. That was just for like this part right here and the editing. And I walked out of the bathroom and I told Mr. Soap and Clay, this is not going to work. I can't spend 5 hours a day doing videos. And, you know, got into the groove, did the things, and now it's just so like common. It's just such a thing that, because it's daily content, that I'm not nearly as concerned like in front of the camera as I was before, or, you know, whatever, to the point where like I forget whether or not, like I forget to even check whether or not I'm wearing a bra. And that has nothing at all to do with the pour. It's just such a weird thing because I'm literally wearing the shirt that I was wearing on day one right now. And so now I'm like reminiscing, and I still like to ramble, but my rambles are, you know, faster and more succinct most of the time. Not exactly right now at this exact moment, but it's okay. And I'm just thinking about how cool it is and how much everything has grown, and you've grown right along with me, and I appreciate you for being here with that. That's usually a thank you that I save for the end of the video though, so I'm actually going to stop rambling right now, send you to the intro, and before I do, I'm going to tell you, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You're at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And you are here for day 353 of 365 days of soap, and it is the Soapprentice's turn to tackle the Chevron design. Yes, now she's going to be using the same scent blend, the same oil blend, all the same things, as well as the same measurements that Mr. Soap and Clay came up with, because he likes to maths. And that's awesome. And but she's doing, you know, her own version of it, and she's never done anything quite like this. I've never actually spent any amount of time showing her or explaining to her, teaching her how to measure out like a full ass lye solution into little bitty pieces in order to achieve whatever it is that she's wanting to do. So I actually don't think she's ever done it quite this way before. So she will be using the same little cradle thing that I purchased and still can't figure out where I got it from. And that's fun. Her color palette will be different, her, you know, but the measurements and everything will be the same. So I'm interested to see, you know, how she fares with all the things and if she's patient enough between the layers and all the jazz. So let's go check out her Chevron and we can talk more about that there. Okay, so it is the Soapprentice's turn at the Chevron. Now she is using my same formulations that Mr. Soap and Clay did. And, you know, again, that's the hard part, all the maths, and he figured it out. So for that reason, I am totally going to do way more of these soaps because the maths have already been worked out and I already have all the tools, and it was actually fun, like weirdly. And so anytime that I have fun on like a lines design, like shit, yeah, I'm doing more of them. Anyway, George May using the exact same measurements and ratios that Mr. Soap and Clay figured out, and she is doing a black and a pink, and I love that. Super, super excited for that and all of the things. Now, she got big worried about being able to measure out her lye accordingly. And so she started using the little beakers to measure everything out before she poured it into her soaping oils, which I think is a great idea. I think, yes, I don't ever like really show you that. Like, I know that I did the lye do's and don'ts video and I showed you the right way to measure out oils, or to measure out your lye rather. And you usually should actually measure out your water into one container and your lye into another, and then dump your lye into your water, just to prevent potential overage for your lye. But I don't ever do that. Like, I never do that. But it is the right way to do it. And especially if you're a new soaper, yeah, I mean, you're not going to know how to adjust your batch to make up for the extra lye that went into it, or even if it matters, because, you know, do you understand superfat yet? Do you all of the things? So yeah, that was very smart on her part, measuring that out into a separate container, measuring the lye solution out into a separate container instead of just relying on the fact that she wasn't going to overpour. I love that for sure. Now, a couple things that she did not do. She has her kaolin. Oh, now all of a sudden everything makes sense. Okay, now I totally get it. All right, so the Soapprentice's kaolin clay is dispersed in water. The water that she has it dispersed in is, I mean, that total amount up there is about 2 ounces, maybe 3. Let's go with 3 ounces. So what that means is that in addition to the scent, which was already factored into all of it, and that's like another, 2.5 ounces of scent that goes into this total, whatever. She's also adding an additional 3 ounces of an additional liquid when it's all said and done, or an additional thing when it's all said and done, because the kaolin isn't exactly a liquid. I mean, it's in liquid form, whatever in that kaolin. So keep that in mind, just for later, because I literally, as I just started talking to you, just answered a question that came from the Soapprentice after we cut this. And I didn't know the answer at the beginning. And now that I'm looking at this, it's all coming together. So she's weighing everything out and doing, again, the same thing. The first 2 layers go down on the side that I've arbitrarily decided to call the right side of the bar, at this angle. And each layer is firming up between pours. And then once it's firmed, she will flip the angle, so the left side of the mold will be down, and then she will do 3 layers on the bottom, so the triangle finishing off the pink, and then the first layer of the black bees. So now some tips and tricks for this. The first thing I would suggest is really try to make your soap as even as possible. She decided that it wasn't time to flip that one, so she's no, it started moving on her. Okay. I would make your layers as even as possible when you are putting it in. So if that's, tapping it down on its corner, if that's moving it around with your spatula, whatever, I would pull that batter to where it looks even across all of it, and then it's matching up with the next side, the side in the middle, at the same rate, if that makes sense. Even. Because it's very easy to actually pour soap and just assume that it's going to just like solidify, like it's going to sort of self-level. Soap doesn't always self-level, so don't just trust that that's what's going to happen. Just big pro tip, make sure your layers are all straight so you don't have a tall bar on one side and a short bar on the other. Really? Okay, now on to more pours with all of this. Again, as she has been doing this, she has been moving to she's been moving the mold and adding kaolin to each little section as she goes along. And again, that's important. That's important. And also, what I find interesting is that she has a really nice, shiny, beautiful black there. And her pink, as it's being made, is nice and pink. But as it's drying, as it's firming up, it's getting much, much lighter. Now, this is another problem that I was concerned about yesterday with C-popping, because this stuff is already sort of solidifying and going through a fair amount of saponification just in order to do the next layer, right? And so gel will really only likely be forced in, yeah, that black line wasn't super straight. So the gel will only likely be forced in the most recent layers that you poured, because again, it's going through a fair amount of saponification process without heat while it is sitting there just solidifying, so you can flip it and pour the next layer. So there's that. And that's definitely something that's a reason why I would not do gel and C-pop for this soap again in the future, or do it between layers and see how crazy it gets. That's a beautiful pink straight layer there. I love that. And so this is her last layer of the pink, and then she can put it on its bottom and put the rest of the black into it, like put the black V that goes on the top into it. And you see how close to the top of the mold that all ended up being. Like, it was very, very close. Her pink edge there, it's very, very close to the tippy top of the mold. Now, that's also important. And so, because her angle's not different, her angle is the exact same that my angle was, because I set up the tool for her. So assuming she didn't change any of those angles, and why would she? It's all fine. It's the exact same. So, but her soap is closer to the tippy top of the mold than mine was. So that's very fascinating. But with this one, it is this last pour of her black, again, beautiful jet black, looks delightful. It's all awesome, and that's actually with the kaolin already in it. And she will be covering this and putting it into the oven for C-pop and gel, just like I did yesterday. And it will be awesome for sure. But I do want you to pay attention to the things that I have said to that point. Yeah, that's another issue right there too. The figuring out the whether you were at an emulsion or not when you have activated charcoal in your soap batter, because that's what she used for the black, can be tricky for sure. So I'm very glad that she took the extra time to really make sure that she was at an emulsion for this. To that, you could have taken stick blenders to it, but you also saw what happened to mine when I took stick blenders to mine. The extra force essentially does tend to change the color. And so unless I was going to take stick blenders to every single portion, which I didn't do, I am running the risk of also having a weird color shift just because of the use of the stick blender versus, I mean, keep it consistent. However you're mixing, mix it that way. And she didn't really do any of the mixy mix with the stick blender, I don't think, throughout any of this. And so there's that. But she could have taken the stick blender to this and thickened it up quite a bit more. But at this point also, why would you need that, right? This is just about to go into the oven for C-pop and gel. It can be as schloopy as you want it to be for the exact last, pour. So let's go check out this cut. Okay, so on to the cut of this, and what happened to her pink and her black to that? Does that green look familiar? Should. I had a green corner too. That is the scent, my friends. That is, yep, that's discoloration from the scent. And that sucks. This is, that's another reason why I'm going to do this Chevron again, is because I want to do it with something that doesn't discolor, or again, something that discolors, but I'm putting the scent blend directly into the soaping oils instead of weighing it out, or I didn't even weigh it out, piece by piece. Because look at Like for all my discoloration, look at all of hers. Like that's serious discoloration. And that's not, she wasn't happy. She like just like kind of walked away from the soap at that point. Like what the hell? It's not pink and black. It's weirdly different colors in different places. And that's, yeah, it says 0.97. It really should not have had that kind of discoloration. But the vanillin isn't what always makes things discolor. So, you know, keep that in mind. That's it's very unfortunate. You can also see where her side shifted in her first pour of the orange or the pink. She thought that it was fine to flip, and then it turned out it was not. And you can see that it did its little schmoopy schmoop. So that's why she flipped it back before pouring the other, but it ended up kind of messing with the design. The design itself is very cool though. It looks like one of those like parquet floors, like a two-toned parquet floor. It's very beautiful. I know it wasn't what she wanted, but it looks really cool. And that Baja cactus blossom scent, like that is actually a really, really beautiful scent. The secondary issue with all of this, and I don't think like we showed it in the actual, I don't think we showed it in this video, but these bars are way taller than mine. And so the Soapprentice was like, wait, why are mine so much taller than yours? And I'm like, I mean, in my head, I'm going, because you measured something wrong. You know? But Georgia May never measures things wrong. So I'm like, I really don't know. And then watching this footage, the reason why they're so much taller is because she put 3 extra ounces of stuff into it on a very precise pour. Like this was a very precise pour. And like everything was measured out. And so that extra 3 ounces is going to affect all of the different layers. Absolutely. But it's also going to affect the height of the bar. So there's that. That said, that is still a wickedly cool bar of soap. Like I am in love with it. And you guys got to see all kinds of different ways to do or do not do chevrons in the last 2 days. And all of those ways were wildly fun for me. And so I will definitely be doing more of these. That is day 353, the Soapprentice's chevron. Okay, so the thing is, this scent blend is phenomenal. It's so good. And it discolors. And normally that wouldn't matter. That would not matter. If you were just doing like a regular soap with like swirls or whatever, you wouldn't even notice that it would be slightly different of a blue or a pink or a, you know, I mean, I think you would notice that black to green. But you probably wouldn't notice in the grand scheme of like a normal pour. And for that reason, my God, yes, get the scent. It's so good. But for like a chevron, when it needs to be super precise, yeah, make sure that you're using a fragrance that won't do any of that, because both of our soaps experience precisely the thing that we weren't actually expecting to experience based on the vanillin content. However, vanillin is not the only reason that things discolor, so keep that in mind. If you are interested in either one of these chevron soaps, both are gorgeous. I love them both. You can find them at soapandclay.com. If you're interested in more soapy antics and seeing what we get up to for the rest of the year, and you know, year 2, presumably, all the things, subscribe to the channel. That would be amazing. For those of you who are subscribed to the channel, hey, you're amazing. Do you remember my day 1? Were you here for that, to watch me cry? It was all a thing. And if you were, you know, here for it since day 1, or even if you joined me, you know, on day 349, whatever, thank you so much for being a sudser and for, you know, supporting this whole crazy soapy ride. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. I've definitely been having a lot of it. I am done for today. I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of soapy fun. Bye.